Hey guys, Dave with the First Place Auto Parts. You know, in every car person's life, there comes a time when you decide you want to get rid of your current car and you want a new hot rod. And then the decision becomes, do I want to build my next hot rod or do I want to buy an already done hot rod? And in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each. Look, it's a very different route. I've taken them both many times and I've learned a couple of things. Today's video, we're going to talk about things that you really think about before you decide either buy your next hot rod already done or if you want to build one yourself. So guys, stay tuned. Today we're talking buy or build. Which one makes sense for you? If you're watching today's video, chances are a classic car or truck or some sort of a hot rod is something more than a vehicle to get from point A to point B. Look, they get under our skin. It's a lifestyle for us. For some of us, it's our career. In cars, we like to drive something that's different, that isn't like everybody else. Of course, we all dream about driving down the road and seeing an old car in a barn, pulling up, getting it for $1,500, dusting it off and driving it away. Look, that only happens on TV shows. The reality is those opportunities are getting farther and farther and fewer in between. But to build a car is a special project. It's a journey. And look, there's pros and cons to each. If you want to build a car, you have to be prepared for a long, extended journey. So let's go ahead and talk about the pros of building a car and what the cons are. And speaking of pros in building a car, the first one is the car is going to turn out exactly what you want. Look, if you have a dream or a car in mind, you know exactly how you want that thing to turn out. You are the master of the destiny of the vehicle and its finished product. So you get to decide everything from powertrain to color to how it drives to how it rides to how it stops. That is a big decision to make. It requires a lot of planning. But you know what you get else by building a car, your time in that thing is somewhat free as opposed to paying someone the labor to do it, is that you get value in building a car. Look, the one thing with building a car you want to make sure you do is you don't spend more than the car is worth unless there's some sort of sentimental value to the vehicle. But you get to work on that car and you get to invest in the car itself. It'll pay dividends when it comes time to sell because really we don't pay ourselves. But you have to be careful with that because it's really easy to spend all your time in building a car. So we want to try to modulate that. And then the other thing is the amount of pride in knowing that you built the car and also the ownership of the vehicle. Look, the cars that I have built, like my 70 Chevelle or my 56 Chevy Gasser that I recently sold, I had a lot of time working on those cars. There wasn't anything that would go wrong that I didn't know how to fix because I built the thing. Same thing will come through with you when you build your own cars. There's an inherent ownership. There's a deeper level of ownership. And when you go to a car show or someone asks you about the car, you'll know what camshafts, you'll know what gear ratio it is. You'll know all the nits and little details. And that's something that car people tend to talk. We tend to talk in a little bit different language. So those are some of the benefits of building your own car, but there's also some cons to building your own car. And the first thing is that it can be an expensive process. Look, building a car, there's a lot of parts, there's a lot of components and a lot of parts that make those components that goes into an overall vehicle. It isn't just the engine and the transmission, it's the clutch and it's the rear gears, it's the brakes, it's the interior, it's the seat upholstery, it's the headliner, it's the paint and body, the chrome, the trim, the emblems. When you look at a blank sheet, it's great that you can make it whatever you want to be, but there's also a lot of areas that have to be touched. Building a car is a very labor-intensive process. It can take anywhere from, depending on the quality of the vehicle you're starting with, a year to 10 years for some people if they farm a lot of it out. Building a car is a long journey, and if you want instant gratification, building a car is not for you. The other thing is that because it can take so long to build a car, it's possible that trends could change by the time you're finished. If you stay conservative with the build and you stay kind of true to what has been popular for a long time, then you'll be okay. Building your own car is lined with a lot of potholes. The amount of time that it takes, the amount of time away from your family, the fact that the trends could change by the time you're finally finished, and a lot of these builds, they get out of hand. How many times have you seen a project for sale where the guy just lost interest? And the reality is maybe that person didn't have realistic expectations to how much work it is to build a car. Building a car can be very rewarding, but I tell you what, you better be in it for the long haul. You better have a long attention span, and you better be committed to seeing it through. Which takes us to buying an already completed car. There has never been more completed vehicles in our lifetime. It's amazing the amount of cars, and the neat thing is that it's so easy to search for a done vehicle, whether it's Facebook Marketplace, Auto Trader, Classic Car Auto Trader, whatever it might be. Finding classic vehicles or modified vehicles has never been easier. No longer do you have to go to a car show hoping to stumble across one. You can find exactly what you're looking for due to the filters. But the biggest benefit of buying your own car or buying a car that's already been modified is that you have instant gratification. Look, you can go look at a car today, pay for it, and drive it away all within 24 hours. There's no waiting, there's no long journey. The biggest thing is that you can get in that thing and go away. The other thing is the only tools you need to buy a car is a well-stocked checkbook. You just stroke a check for a vehicle that's done and it's something that is already complete. You don't have to do any work. There is no sweat equity. And the return on investment, especially when it comes to things like performance parts, is very small. Look, people love, you see the car listings where someone will say, I have $10,000 in the engine. And they believe that that $10,000 in that engine raises the value of the price of the car over the book value, $10,000. The reality is you're lucky if you get 50 cents back on the dollar for modifications. Something to think about if you're gonna build your car as well. But when you go to buy a car, the reality is stock cars, vehicles that have not been modified, tend to have a higher value than modified cars do. And the downside to buying someone else's project or already done car is, look, their idea of what they wanted and what you wanted may not match up. Maybe you don't like the color of the car, or maybe you wanted a stick and the car you're looking at is an automatic, or maybe the tires and wheels aren't what you wanted, the powertrain isn't what you wanted, or something in between. When you buy something that's already done, you are buying someone else's idea or dream for that vehicle. So sometimes it doesn't always line up with what you want. The other thing is you don't really get the pride in the vehicle. I can tell you from experience that this late model Corvette that I bought, the Z06, look, I really like the car, but the truth is I don't have the affinity for it that I did for my 56 Chevy or my 70 Chevelle. I just don't have the time invested in it. I'm sure I'll be doing some stuff to it eventually and I'll get closer, feeling closer to it, but it just typically means that I don't own the cars as long, and that's what I have learned. When I buy someone else's car, whether it was the 03 Cobra in particular, I just don't seem to own them that long. I don't have that connection with them. I like them, but I don't have the connection. And the other thing is, the final downside to buying a car that's already done is the quality of the components that were used or the quality of the work. Look, not all cars are built the same, and certainly not all the parts are the same. As long as someone has receipts, you can identify what parts were used and you can make your own decision up if the value is there and it was well built. You don't really have control over the quality of the build when you buy someone else's car, and that's why it's important that you take someone with you that maybe knows the cars or the parts, and maybe most importantly when buying a car that's already done, are the receipts. Don't take someone's word that it's been done. If they don't have receipts, you have to assume that it hasn't been done. I hate to say it, guys. Most people are trustworthy, but there's a lot of cars that are sold where people thought what they were getting was totally different than what they were getting because the person said, trust me on this. Ultimately, the decision to buy or build a car is a personal one. It's different for all of us. It has everything to do with our expectations and our ability to see a project through. If you're the kind of person who has to have that car in the next day or two, you just can't stand to work on something long term, don't consider building a car, consider buying. But if you're the kind of guy that really likes to get into and understand and have ownership of a car, consider building a car. It's a neat experience, and I can tell you that the relationship with the car, how much that car means to you long term, will be drastically different. Buying or selling, they're both good options, but they're different options, and only you can make the decision. Make sure you make the right decision. It can be a great experience. Make the wrong decision, it can be an expensive experience, and it can be one that you want to forget. And guys, when you need parts to either restore your vehicle from the ground up or modify a vehicle that you just want to change a little bit, please check us out at First Place Auto Parts. There we have everything you need to make your car go faster, stop harder, or look better. Simply go to fpautoparts.com. There you'll find everything you need. Guys, I appreciate you watching this video. Good luck on your project, and until next time, keep the hammer down, keep it between the guardrails.